Let our banners fly!
Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So today we're going to be revisiting an old Season 4 unit, the Silahdars. Honestly, I mean, I always have fun doing these videos, and I really kind of enjoy the variety of different units that it kind of forces me to play through. But going back to these guys has honestly been one of the most fun units I've played for at least at least a season or two. It feels like they've been having an absolute blast. I think even more so because at the time when these guys came out in Season 4, I didn't really enjoy them. I didn't really think they fitted into a role that well, and didn't really play them that much. Didn't even get them maxed out. But now I've just been really enjoying playing them again and been having an absolute blast. So it's been really fun to check them out. And I think they've changed a lot. Not so much in the sense that the unit themselves has actually changed, the meta has shifted. And more than that, you just don't see them all that often anymore. And so people kind of forget about them, forget what they're like, and quite freely walk up to them. And then, of course, they get a giant axe through the face, and they die, so it's perfect. So what's the unit all about? Well, it's all about burst damage. They do intense amounts of burst damage, and that's the veterancy line that I've gone with. Both lines are viable. The bottom line is all about making them a little bit more tanky, kind of increases their resistances, defensive stats, makes them less likely to get flattened quite easily, because they are actually a fairly soft unit despite initial appearances. Yeah, they have 10k hit points. They actually have reasonable defensive attributes, but they do die pretty quickly. It's kind of hard to quantify because these defense statistics here don't represent realistically everything that about how tanky a unit realistically is. There's a lot of other factors that go into it, and so to me, they aren't a particularly tanky unit. So I'm not really that bothered about this bottom line. I've gone all out damage. Let's just get down, get all the cooldowns, particularly on the Decapitate, is their primary ability. So when you activate it, all of them in sort of unity will all swing their great axes together, and it's going to do a ton of damage, and it's AoE damage as well. So if you'd walk into a cluster and do this, you're going to do a hell of a lot of damage. They then take a step forwards, and then they follow after with a further strike. So they basically do a double swing. You then basically have a death strike, is where they just take a step forwards and swing into it. They sometimes do a second strike on this, but it's more of a chance thing, or it says, as it says there, high chance of triggering. But this has a longer cooldown. For me, the Decapitate's the better ability, but the fact you have two largely similar abilities means that you can get loads of AoE swings off in fairly quick succession. That makes it a really damaging unit. Combine this, they call it Get Over Here. It's basically cover commander, works in the same way. The only difference slightly being is if you're on the other side of an enemy unit and you activate it, they sort of fight their way through the enemy unit to get to you. But in that sense, it works largely just like a cover commander. Doctrine-wise, there's a couple of seasonal doctrines, or specifically the Get Over Here movement speed increased by 10% is kind of nice. Makes them just sort of be able to keep up with you as a hero, which is kind of an effective thing. I didn't put on the other seasonal doctrine, the range damage reduction. 50, not very much. I kind of felt that I got more out of my piercing defense increase. Kind of put a blue one on. I think I put this one on at the time. I can't remember where I got it from. Probably from a doctrine box. Just make them that little bit more tanky to try and make them that slightly stronger unit to deal with. Other than that, I've just been having an absolute blast with them. Really good fun. Can really cut through quite a few units in quick succession. So let's hop into a battle, see how we get on, see who we can sort of cleave in twain with our great axes. So you join me on Harbour City, actually still fighting for the A point and just getting a few cheeky watcher shots in before the enemy siege tower lands. But actually, if you look on the map, you can see a huge proportion of the enemy team is clustered around the base of that siege tower. So I'm kind of expecting a really hard push off that tower. And traditionally, this is a map where if the enemy can sort of get built up like that, not very many people tend to be on this clear stretch defending the actual A points. It can get easy to get overwhelmed pretty quickly. We had these friendly shields set up, so I call the unit over to me on cover commander. I push in and I go straight on for the hit. Initially, well, we just get an absolute ton of kills. Once my first ability is over, I activate my second ability, and yeah, you see we're really starting to cut through stuff really effectively. Got ourselves about 40 or 50 kills in that opening swing. Took a little bit of damage, but I felt I had to go back because the unit was still, our team was still trying to defend the point. Got a few more there on the second swing, perhaps another sort of 15-20 kills. So we're up to 90 kills already now. Just sort of 2 or 3 ability uses because the enemy was so clustered coming off that tower. If you're wondering why I was being a bit tentative, it's because there's the Treb. I really thought that Treb was going to come in a lot earlier than it did. So I was kind of really nervous, thinking, going to get hit by that Treb. These guys aren't that tanky. Start getting hit by Trebs and you will go down pretty quickly. So that's why I was kind of pulling back, trying to sort of look for my opportunities. But yeah, when you catch a cluster of enemies, and it doesn't really matter what they are, low or high tier, you start getting them in the sides and the back with a unit like that, and it is really brutally effective. Just managed to unfortunately miss my not Flying Reaper, Warlord's Greeting on that enemy longsword. It's a shame, otherwise I would have managed to catch him on that little bit of war there. So with the unit healed up, I've called them back to me. Obviously so far we've taken one loss, one unit has died, but a KD of 1 for 90 isn't too bad. Just sort of playing around a little bit at the edges, but an Imperial Pike advance activates and kind of back into the fight. Obviously, it's probably a bad time for them to activate their advance, really. I think they should probably have rated there because they've got quite a few enemy units they had to deal with still, so they probably activated that too early. We then noticed the back siege tower, getting these Jav Sergeants coming up. Not a particularly great unit in melee, but a very damaging javelin unit. So I'm trying to push into them. Don't want to activate my ability too early because I want to get into the cluster. Everything comes up and boom. Immediately flattens the hero, second hero. And basically the rest of that shield wall completely gone down. And yeah, I mean, what can the enemy do in that sort of situation? I see the Treb coming in from the distance, so I just run back to this corner just to make sure I'm safe. Not safe. Words, Evo, come on. But, it just shows how brutal this unit can be. You can just completely flatten everything that comes off a tower like that. And people have just forgotten what this unit is all about. Back in Season 4 when this first came out, everyone knew what it was, everyone knew what it could do. Everyone just sat back and shot at it with ranged units and things. People have forgotten how damaging this unit can be and they don't fear it quite like they should. Little Nadachi managed to get away. But well, maybe he didn't. Tried to come back. I'll go in, get my swing on him. A little bit of an unfortunate position. I'm just trying to get damage on him. Fortunately, we're not quite close enough to get a proper hit. So I go in. Thankfully, I've still got that second ability to activate. I have got that dual blade behind me, but we get a few friendly people coming in. And by being on that top veterancy line, I have a really short cooldown on my that Death Strike ability, that #1 ability. That's why it's continuously coming off cooldown really quickly. I'm able to push in and pretty much slaughter everything on that tower. And yeah, it's pretty unbelievable, this game. I couldn't believe it at this point, just how effective these guys can be in this sort of situation. Where we're able to isolate all the fights to sort of choke points, they seem to just do insanely well. At this point, I was a bit more concerned. We've got a unit of stalwarts, which we can beat half. If we can get them cleanly, then maybe. We've got friendly support here. I go for the buff. I go in for my Flying Reaper to get the knockdown, but unfortunately get knocked down myself as a hero. We get a bit of damage in on the unit, and as we get some people behind, we start to do a bit more. We get a good swing and get the first kill there. And then I'm kind of stuck with everything a little bit on cooldown, and our casualties are starting to rack up. We managed to claim one final hero kill, but unfortunately that spells the end of us for the end of our unit. And unfortunately, they managed to get themselves killed. I pulled back a little bit to get myself healed up inside this unit of Spear Sergeants, which was kind of handy to have, and then we get a bit more of the team turning up to try and start supporting. So again, it gives me a bit more time to throw myself in Fortunately, that didn't quite hit that longsword, which is a bit unfortunate. I was trying to go for the paladins, get locked down by the poleaxe. Thought I'd got away with it, but he still had his ult. And that really spells the end of the game for me. But what a fantastic game it turned out to be, and shows what potential these Silahdars have. Obviously there's still a tremendous grind to get them unlocked, as with all the sort of final season units on each of the seasons. So many challenges to work through. It's kind of a bit ridiculous, but yeah, really interesting unit, and certainly one that if you've already got unlocked and you've not, like me, taken it out for a long time, certainly recommend pulling them out, because they are actually a really, really fun unit to play. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for lots more Conqueror's Blade content. See you next time, guys.